June 29th, 2009. This is Diehard Gamer Radio, show 70.
And this is our opening.
Now inside Safe Harbor.
What does that even mean?
This was no boating accident.
Well, it means you can only listen to this podcast during restricted hours.
Yes.
Oh.
You are approaching the target of attack. Your mission starts now. Are you ready? The countdown begins. 3, 2, 1, go.
You are listening to Diehard Gamer Radio, the source for off-mainstream video game news and topics. And now, your hosts, Murdock, Brian, John, and Steve.
Just a couple more shots.
Well,
Isn't Safe Harbor only like 4 hours at night, though?
no, it's Safe Harbor is after, I think it's after like 10. And it's like basically when Adult Swim shows, that's outside Safe Harbor.
So when does it end?
Yeah, when does it?
4
I mean,
in
it's
the morning
well,
or
but
something?
like
but
4 or 5 in the morning.
You also got to realize
It's
too
gotta
that
be like
a lot
5
of the
or 6 because they're still showing like soft porn and
Well-
on certain channels.
well, some show soft porn all the time, but the it has to be pretty much only EST because there's a lot of shows that get shown that are supposed to be outside Safe Harbor that in later time zones play in
Fall within
at 8
ours,
p.m.
yeah.
or something like that. So
Welcome to the Safe Harbor podcast.
yeah, I know. I mean, I guess only people on the East Coast count is what it boils down to.
Or maybe
so.
if it's like cable showing an East Coast broadcast station.
Yeah, I don't know.
So
Well, the
welcome back
networks don't
to
have the different feeds.
so welcome back to Die Hard
over
Gamer
there.
Radio. I am one of your hosts, Chris Safe Harbor Murdock. And with me is, I don't have clever nicknames for you guys. You're going to have to kind of think of your own.
That'll be
kinda
John
selfish,
Boating
aren't
Accident Krukov.
Yeah.
Steve, you got a
Nautical
clever
theme
one?
name?
Eating the cheese.
Is that a nautical
Sailing
theme?
the seas of cheese.
Awesome.
The
Yeah.
7 cheese.
Yep.
Sailing the 7 cheese.
See, interestingly enough, with Safe Harbor, ours actually, Adult Swim comes on way after Safe Harbor starts because we get the Pacific feed, and since we're 1 hour ahead of Pacific feed, we get it really freaking late. Whereas Adult Swim starts at like 10 in Central Time Zone.
Okay, you're
We get it at midnight
you're
because we
you are
hate
so into
having
Brian's
works.
intro. Brian hasn't been introduced yet, so you know.
You know who he is.
It's all part of his
I know
intro.
who I am.
Do you have a nautical nickname?
Deep Sea Jones.
You know where he's from? Brian Jones's locker. That's right next to Davies, you see.
Oh, you mean that Monkeys band member?
Deep Jones is a little lesser known.
That's where Davy Jones keeps his guitar.
I did see my building on I-25 though. It's like right by Bellevue, like heading towards county line. Jones.
Oh,
building.
okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
The old
You gotta
cable
drive there.
company.
Huh.
If you remember Jones Cable.
All I know
Still
about
look like a
cable
north
here,
side.
it's I only know TCI was here, and that's all I know.
TCI.
And
Wow.
AT&T and who was before TCI?
Well, it was AT&T, but that was back then when they were At Home or Lycos.
Yep.
Oh yeah, you're right. I did start with AT&T, and then it was TCI, and then boom to Comcast, and bada bing, bada boom.
That was the point when AT&T bought everything I used to subscribe to.
Yep.
Yeah, bastards.
Bought my mobile phone company.
It's where everything turned into ATDBI for your
cable.
life for a little while.
So how's that working out for you right now?
Well, it's not AT&T anymore.
Oh, what are they now?
Comcast
Bell
bought
Atlantic.
everything. Well, Comcast bought all their broadband stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then SBC bought all the phone stuff.
Which
Then
is-
renamed themselves to AT&T to
Yeah.
maintain continuity.
Even though you're not fooling anyone, SBC sucked before and still sucks now.
You're just giving AT&T a worse name.
All right. So now that we've spoken about all these video games, I guess we can go to the news.
We've obviously covered all the video game related information that anyone needs to
We
know.
Yeah.
covered it all in episode 69.
Yeah, pretty much. I do like the sausages. That was pretty funny.
Well, that's for show 70.
I know.
So you
You
get
really shouldn't put them up ahead of time.
Well, I had
It
the idea
ruins
in
the
my
surprise.
Yeah, it
I
ruins
had the idea
surprise.
in my head, and I just had to, you know,
you didn't have to. You can save the WordPress article and then you just have to publish it later.
Well, okay. I mean,
It really ruins the surprise.
okay.
Otherwise, what's our
blew it.
incentive for doing these?
Well, yeah. What's our incentive for going to the website if we already know what the little
Infographic is.
Well, you guys are like premier members of the website. You get to see it before anyone else.
Welcome to the VIP club.
or anyone who just has it on their little RSS feed and got it when you published it last week?
Maybe. I published it today at work when I should have been working. All right.
Maybe you were working.
I feel an after-school special coming on.
Just weren't working for the man.
Kirk Cameron is Chris Murdock in the Diehard Gamer radio story, starring Tina Yothers as
You started off with simple tech, but look at you now. You and your RSS.
And whoever the
I
hell
don't know who you are.
whoever the hell the father was for Family Ties.
Michael Gross.
Yeah, Michael Gross.
Michael Gross.
He had quite a beard.
Oh, man.
All right, so our first news, not that anyone cares about this game anymore, but Final Fantasy VII sold like over 100,000
I don't
copies
get
on
that.
PSN.
How many times can people rebuy Final Fantasy VII?
And it's not even
Ask
updated.
Nintendo.
And it's not even updated graphics. It's like PS1 blocky Tifa breast graphics.
I don't get it.
Yeah, well, people keep rebuying shit. There's
I think it's nostalgia. That was like one of the biggest.
Yeah,
selling
how
ones.
can you? It's not nostalgic. It's like 10. It's like 10 years old,
But
isn't
I thought they Final Fantasy VII's been out like 2 more times before this.
it?
has it been?
Yeah,
I don't
no.
They never
It's
put it
for-
out on any of the GBA
No.
collections.
There was a regular version, then there was a greatest hits version, and I don't think it came out on anything else
Nope.
after that.
No
Because
PS4.
PlayStation
Somebody
2
else had
didn't-
on it.
Unless there was a grouping together on PS2 where they had like
If
3
there
or 4.
was,
Nah,
that came out
no,
in the
nothing
US.
like that. The only,
Came out here.
the only Final Fantasy VII thing that
Well, they could have
Even-
bought it for the PC.
that's true.
That
That's
may
true.
be the only platform that it was on after.
Yeah, the only other thing that
It
came
Seems
out
like
that
there's a version of this coming out every year.
yeah.
They
Seems like it.
have
I don't
put
think
out
so.
multiple. They have put out packs on the NDS of like 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, they haven't done
5 and
anything
6,
like
I
that
think.
for 7.
And they did that for the PlayStation as well. There was the PlayStation collections of those that you could buy that had the remake ones that they did for the GBA ones.
Oh, GBA, yeah.
Yeah, but
That all topped out at 6. And,
Yeah,
and
it's
now
never seen 7
is
again.
old enough. There are people playing video games that weren't alive when 7 came out.
dude, 7 is not that. 7 cannot be that old.
Dude, you're old.
94? 93?
I think the game's like 10 years old.
No, it's older than that.
I
Is
do
it?
have it on my PSP, but it's
Pretty
just,
sure Final Fantasy VII was pretty old.
I mean, we're in like the 4th year for the next-gen consoles, which are no longer the next-gen consoles. I mean, the
Hold on a second.
PS2
Now
is
gen.
coming up on that, 10-year-olds bit.
Yeah.
All right. So while Steve
Wanders off.
I think he's getting more
Gotta change
cheese.
his nickname to Steve Wandering.
Steve wanders with iPhone.
Wanders with horses.
Yeah,
You bought an iPhone?
So this is
Why?
really the reason why that people are being able to, Nintendo can mine their back catalog. Hell, even Xbox can mine their own catalog. I think it's just because we're old.
Okay.
Yeah, get over it.
All right.
Next.
all right. So Duke Nukem Forever.
What's your point?
Yeah.
Older than the PS2.
Older than the PS1, isn't it?
Wow.
Yes, it is.
Wow.
Yeah. Duke Nukem 3D is anyway. Actual Duke Nukem's like as old as PC computing is, basically.
Yeah, Jimmy, Duke Nukem was around before you were a glint in your mama's
Because
eye.
Duke Nukem was basically a side-scrolling ripoff of Pitfall, and Commander Keen.
The bit I don't get is why they keep claiming they're working on it.
Well,
Because it makes them look like they're working on something.
But they fired
All they
everybody.
have.
so three
So they went out of business.
so 3D Realms went out of business.
Yeah, so
But
who's
Take
even
Two-
the spokesperson?
Well, Take-Two still owns the publishing rights, and I guess they're suing 3D Realms. It's like, well, we gave you a bunch of money,
yeah.
and you didn't come out with anything for like 10 years.
Where's our money and where's our product?
But 3D Realm says something about them not really having paid for it all or something, that was for something else?
Well, they're suing them for money that is never going to be made because the company's out of business. It's like you declared bankruptcy, you're kind of a little late. But Final Fantasy VII released in 97. It's 12 years old.
12 years old. So there are people playing video games that were not alive when Final Fantasy VII came out.
and I hate those people. Just so you know.
Oh,
And
come on, they
you
pick
got
up
to
those
figure
little,
people that were up to about probably 10 maybe. Probably didn't play it when it came out because I don't know, 10-year-olds are playing Final Fantasy VII. Who was buying it when you was working the store? Who was the youngest person that decided they wanted a copy?
Who was the evil genius kid?
Oh man,
He
there's
needed a plot
8, 9,
for his-
10-year-olds that bought stuff at EB all the time.
Yeah, but I don't think they were playing Final Fantasy VII.
Sure they were.
They were playing Sly Cooper.
Dude, I was playing
Punky-
I
Punky
played
Skunk.
Final Fantasy 3 when I was 10.
So you're abnormal.
I
So
guess.
10, that puts like a lower bound on it. We might be
Well,
able to
when
go all
did
the way
Final
down to
Fantasy 3
8.
come out? It's Final Fantasy
Well, it's
3.
Final Fantasy VI. In this
No, the Final Fantasy 3 that came out here.
Even so,
Yeah,
that
that
leaves
was
us with
Final
a
Fantasy
lost
VI.
decade of people who
No.
who might have missed Final Fantasy VII.
You're talking Final Fantasy 3 on
That's
the
probably
SNES, right?
100,000 we're looking at on there.
Yeah, that was Final Fantasy VI. They just renamed it 3.
Yeah, but in this country,
It
I'm
was
going to
3.
look it up, and it's going to be called Final Fantasy 3.
All right. While Steve is surfing, let's go on to the next topic, which is ZeniMax purchasing id, which was a big surprise.
Especially
Yeah,
id.
one of the last, well, not really, since they said, "Hey, we want to be bought by you," and they went, "Awesome."
No, I guess I
We
would have
would like to buy you.
I would have been 14 for Final Fantasy 7.
Okay.
But I definitely. What year did Legend of Zelda come on?
Are you asking me?
I'm asking you.
The original Legend
Yeah.
of Zelda?
For
80.
NES?
Yeah, but Zelda was definitely kid-focused.
That was
I-
88 or 89.
No, it was like 86.
I mean, that was back when Nintendo only made consoles for kids.
Oh, come on. There was Golgo 13 on the NES.
Yeah, no one could play that game.
I loved that game.
I still
was
own
playing,
that
I was
game.
playing Golgo 13 when I was a kid. Let's find out when that was out.
Okay, so was I right for Zelda 86?
I think it's later.
So is this turning into boring trivia podcast?
It is.
Maybe.
Awesome.
Well, we don't really have much
February
on the docket here,
21st,
so-
86.
I was right. So
So I would have been
So you win the podcast?
10.
yes, I win the podcast.
Ding, ding, ding.
So you don't have to play that Price is Right fail music now. Steve doesn't have to go. You actually do that better than I do.
Well,
I watched a lot of Prices Right.
we should.
Boom, 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 boom.
All right. So, any interest in this ZeniMax acquisition of id?
It's funny because
John?
when they were talking about it, they weren't even talking about ZeniMax. They were saying, "Oh, Bethesda buys, Bethesda
Well,
buys."
ZeniMax owns what Bethesda Softworks and all these companies, and
You
Bethesda.
only know what Bethesda is because
Yeah.
you actually see their logo in front of the game.
Exactly.
They don't bother put the ZeniMax stamp on it.
ZeniMax is like ConAgra. You don't hear ConAgra on anything. You
It's
just
not
know
really
they're-
like ConAgra. Because, EA and Activision both totally have them dwarfed.
Oh,
that's
yeah,
true.
yeah. But I'm
Like-
just saying they're one of those bigger parent companies that nobody talks about because there's just never a reason to bring their name up. But yet
Right.
they own everything, or they own a large group of things.
All right.
and They're
Huh.
just getting bigger.
What?
Golgo 13
Wow,
was
more
released
trivia.
4 years after Legend of Zelda was released.
So 90.
Yeah.
So that's how it got all those fancy, awesome graphics upgrades over
Yeah,
Zelda.
yeah.
They were
So-
still releasing that
so-
when
so
Super Nintendo
Steve-
came out then. too.
So,
That's
Steve,
kinda
do I need to
interesting.
bring my NES over so you can play Golgo 13 again?
No, because it really suffers from the Blue Thunder syndrome.
Well, that's
the controls are so blocky and choppy and
That's like us playing combat all over again with the sticks, and we're like, oh, God, these
well,
are
there's
stiff,"
no
you know?
there's no
Why am I
like
doing this?
you know the old like side scroll action games where like gravity was like 5 times what it normally was. You
Yeah.
jumped and you immediately fell again.
Yeah.
That's pretty much Golgo 13.
Eric claims he can beat that game without.
That's my bad.
see.
He's got
This is
plankton
why
in
we
his
turn off the
pants.
cell phones.
No, we don't turn off the cell phones because this happens every episode.
Is that Keegan?
Nope.
Keegan calling up going, "You guys are wrong."
You haven't even heard us yet. Yeah, but I know you're wrong.
You'll be wrong at some point. I'm just preempting it.
Yeah.
Which is true. I mean, he really
Yeah.
could just call in and correct us at any given time.
Except this hasn't hit anything live for anybody to listen to.
Yeah, well, we're not doing a live podcast yet.
Thank God.
All right. So, next up, the next 360 update will speed up the dashboard. Not that this was a problem.
Yeah, I don't understand that. Was that really an issue before? Because it seems pretty speedy to me.
I think the only thing it could speed up is when you go into the games marketplace. Sometimes that takes a little bit to load. And it's just when you're loading up like the entire alphabet.
There's a lot of the network
possibilities.
stuff. Like, Murdock wouldn't understand this one. But when you go to
Just listen,
your
trust
friends
us.
list and you want to see what's going on there with all the people that are online,
Oh,
that
yeah.
can be kind of slow.
That slows down a little bit when you're checking.
Well,
I solved that by not having very many friends. So, I turned on the
There's
last
the
night. Nobody was online. I'm like, oh, the first time I'm online in like 3 months. There's nobody here.
I was burned out last night. Well, you should let me know when you're going to be on, and we can try some Monster Madness multiplayer.
Yeah, you
See
really
how
got to try
works.
that game before we actually play it. Because you'll probably be like the other, well,
you still-
everyone except me.
I don't
It's like,
know.
wow, this game kind of bites.
I'll look for the good stuff in the game. And
Do you
try
still
and
have
enjoy it,
gold
and I mean,
membership, Steve?
Yeah.
And you haven't played it for how long?
Well, I mean, you need like to get the good stuff.
It's like an Oreo.
Well, shit, how much does it cost for a year, Murdock?
What
$50
30
bucks?
It's
30.
$49 if you buy it at a regular price, but if you check Amazon about every 2 months, it drops
Yeah.
to $39 or
Yeah,
the
I
somebody
mean,
reason
has
I'm
it for
paid up
cheaper.
through 2011 now, I think.
Yeah, and you can
Yeah.
get 12 months plus a free month even at $39.
Yeah,
so
I mean, it's like,
it gets
eh.
cheaper and cheaper.
And they do give you stuff for being gold, like getting into the 1 versus 100 beta,
Why would you want that?
because like playing trivia games. Actually, be more specific, Meredith likes playing trivia games.
Which means that you like playing trivia games.
Now
Yeah,
you're
one
catching
does follow
on.
from the other.
So what do you get in return for playing these trivia games?
Well, a crushing sense of inadequacy at trivia games, mostly.
I think there's a pill for that.
I think there's something with just women and like 1 versus 100 and Deal or No Deal. They just love those
Deal-
shows.
Oh,
Deal
man,
or Don't Deal,
no, though, is
that-
not even a game.
that-
I mean, I don't ever understand what it is
It
because,
still
like,
attracts women. They
I
just love
know,
watching
but
it.
it's like, what? This isn't even a game. You just randomly choose, and that's it.
It's a really, really drawn out game of roulette
Yeah,
yeah,
pretty much.
no
where
skill
you only get to
whatsoever.
bet on one number. So even worse, I guess.
Yeah.
I will say though, I scored about $25 off the machine today when I was playing it, so that was a bonus.
Okay.
I was up at Blackhawk gambling, so
Oh,
I hit one of the
that's
Deal or No Deal
that's
money.
the bit of detail that would have been more useful.
But I was playing I was like third hit in, and the mini game came up, and I'm playing it, and I have a chance to win 15,000 quarters, and oh man, I don't know, I think it was a penny machine, but it was 15,000, and they start with a minimum bid of 2,000, and I just went until I got up to 4,000 or 5,000. And yeah, so
Was
I
this
just able
was
to
this a
bank some free
casual
money
or a
off that.
hardcore game?
So
Yeah,
15,000.
all gambling games are casual. All slot machines.
Well, slot machines certainly are. I mean, there's not a lot of skill.
Well, they're
to
casual games in the sense that the people who play them don't require a lot of skill, but play them for a long
time.
time.
Well, the thing with the slot machines is you have to put in as much money as possible to make it more likely that the random chance will result in you getting some sort of more money that you're putting in.
You've got to find that balance of when to bet heavy and when not to bet heavy, so that you don't milk all your money before it's too late, and then you're like, crap.
Well, but it depends on the game you're playing. I mean,
All
some
slot
games.
machines are the same that way. It just depends on how loose they
No,
are
it's-
and whatever casino you go into, but you got to be careful.
Well, but
just
you
gotta
don't
bet
know.
back and
You're
forth.
not going to be able to tell, what the payout rate is. So you have to play as many chances as possible in order.
Oh
to win.
yeah.
So
The key to
Okay.
most slot machines is just playing as many lines as possible.
Worst
but not as many
podcast
bets.
ever.
oh, I don't think that's possible.
No.
I remember a couple podcasts where it's like,
It was like
Yeah,
it was like Donald Duck on the.
it was. Loch Ness Monster came in and asked for $3.50.
Well, you don't like listening to the probability of slot machines and stuff like that.
No, I don't want to hear slot machine systems.
No, mommy, take it away. It hurts me head. It does.
What are you, Oliver Twist all of a sudden?
I'm got
They-
ache in me frontal lobe, I do.
All right.
Doing a really good job, moderator.
So, anything about
That's
the
true.
the-
It is all his fault.
yeah, so anything on the dashboard, or
got
should
to
we just
say?
move on?
Nobody cares.
All right.
There are things that are slow. Fix them.
All right.
Good work.
So Activision is threatening to stop supporting Sony platforms for some strange reason.
So, yeah, I
So
can't imagine
they're
why
not
that is.
selling much.
I get. I
They
get.
don't understand the concept of a
Well,
price drop.
it's apropos as Sony has stopped supporting Sony platforms.
Well,
yeah,
did
so
you-
take that, Activision.
Well, what's Activision going to do? Stop publishing World of Warcraft? Oh, wait.
Did you see the list on Kotaku where they had the sales figures for all the Sony first-party exclusives?
No, I did not see that.
They had
We don't
just them
encourage research here, John.
ranked by sales numbers.
Hello.
And there's only one game that's done better than 1 million copies, which was Resistance. And
That's
they've
sad.
done about 10 first-party titles now, many of them high-quality, good games.
I think the problem is that the Sony PlayStation 3 is way too expensive.
I think the problem is when you go
Hello.
and buy a PlayStation 3, you don't know what you're buying half the time.
That's true too. I mean, if you have to go to Wikipedia to find out which PS3
Okay,
model.
here's the UPC code now. The ones that were this UPC code, you're going to get, okay, I shouldn't have to do that much research to buy a console.
Yeah. Your game system should be your game system. It should have all the things.
That's
it's
why the
supposed to
Wii
have,
is succeeding.
It just
Right.
seems like it might be a really good indicator that
Well, people buying the Wii already
PlayStation
know what it
3
is. It's a
might
GameCube. They've already figured that out.
a good choice for this generation.
No, it's, well, I mean, they
I
could
think
probably.
Sony's been consistently behind the ball on everything, and they're fucking up
No,
themselves trying to catch up, and in the process,
It's
just costs
left.
them more
It's the leftover arrogance from their PS2 days, and now they're paying for it. That's
money.
all.
Well,
Well,
yeah, they
even-
rode that system for a long time, and they didn't feel they had to do anything. And then when they did feel they wanted to do something, they put the bar so high on what they wanted to do that they screwed themselves over, and they had to make 3 different systems, and
I don't even
they had
think
to
they
try
have.
and catch every market. And
I don't think they had a plan. I really don't think they did. I mean,
I think they came into it late, but I think they also tried to outdo everybody, and it cost them big.
well, I
we
don't
know
think.
they had screwed up their plan because they weren't even planning to have a video card or a video accelerator separate from the cell until
Yeah.
like a year before they went to launch. I mean,
Yeah.
it was a last-minute addition.
I mean, even in what you call it's in what is it? Birds Are Weird, the 4th Penny Arcade book. That's from like 2003, and he's like writing. It's pretty obvious at this point that they had no idea what they were doing. They're just playing it as they went.
Well, things kept changing. You kept hearing new news, and it was like, yeah, but what about that? You said you were going to do that. And like, no, we're going to do this now. And then,
Well,
what?
they announced the PS3 in like 2002. It's like, well, we're going to get you a new system someday. And you'd think they'd have, some sort of time to plan that. But apparently they were all doing hookers and blow off the profits on the PS2.
It was on the side of the milk carton along with Prey. How's that coming along?
It got released.
I mean,
Well,
so did Prey.
yeah.
They
how's
just-
Huxley coming along?
Well,
That's
Yeah.
a newer failure. We've actually had most of the really long-running failures actually fail now, I think.
yeah.
Nobody
No.
can live up to Duke Nukem status.
No.
They're too
No,
young.
You can't.
Yeah,
I mean, I do.
that's a
downloaded-
new bar.
You want to know how
No,
Duke,
that's the old bar. It's always been that bar. There's never been another
Duke
one.
Nukem 3D is so old.
How old is it?
So old, I used an AOL freebie disc to download it faster.
Eat that, shareware.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
You used AOL.
I used it for 4 hours to download the Duke Nukem 3D thing. Yeah,
That's dedication.
because
right
it was
there.
hard to get it off of the local
You're
BBSs.
hardcore, man.
So.
Too hardcore.
What were you
It's
on?
kind
What,
of
what,
amazing to think it's
CompuServe
been
or
like
Prodigy?
5 years since I got an AOL free demo disc.
Yeah,
it's
somewhere
been a
around.
while. I kind of miss them because it came in the niftiest cases. I
Yeah.
still use those cases today for transporting CDs.
Up until a couple years ago, I had a whole bag of Netcom discs.
Wow.
Yeah, because nobody was buying the 3.5-inch ones anymore, so I took them home from EB to use as blanks. Half of them didn't work; they were such low quality.
Remember that website about stop AOL discs?
No.
Some website where this guy had gotten everybody to send him as many AOL discs as they could, and he was going to take them all back to AOL and dump them on their mail slot.
They won.
He had like 5,000 of them at one point. He's like, "Here, we want you to know how this feels. Have all your crap back." Which, they probably just recycled and sent right back out to the poor bastards.
Oh, hey, look, it's a disc with AOL version 1.0. Wow, that's excellent.
I did use AOL's predecessor, however, which was Q-Link on the Commodore 64.
Wow.
My old school network of choice was always Prodigy.
I never used any of the big ones. I used the Q-Link, which had avatar-based chat, and then didn't use anything. I just used all the World War IV boards.
I remember using
Citadels.
Prodigy in high school. That was
CompuServe.
late 80s, early 90s.
All right. So
The big reason I used that at school was because Billy Idol came out with was like his last CD, and it came with a little 3 1/4-inch disc that you could load.
Right, that was his
You could actually
cyberpunk
talk
album.
to him online, yeah. You would get on at certain times every month.
That
was
album
the
sold
big
like
thing.
shit.
Oh god, that album was horrible.
So was it actually Idol?
Yeah, it was.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but still sucked.
Yeah. So next up, Super Mario Brothers Wii Future Games is getting this demo play help feature. Now, what this is basically in the new Super Mario Brothers Wii, if a player is experiencing an area of difficulty, this will allow them to clear troubled areas and take over when they're ready, says Miyamoto through a translator.
So that's
And,
going to be awesome. Like you're going along, you miss time a jump, you die, and it like rewinds and does it for you, and you
Well,
get to keep playing.
it doesn't. It doesn't rewind. It's not like Prince of Persia.
Yeah,
You just
I was gonna say, what?
so like you're playing a level, and then you die, and you're just getting frustrated at you can't make this jump. What's going on? So you hit the demo play, and the computer will play the level perfectly for you, and then you can just continue where it left off.
I
So-
think in previous generations we call
Holy
that the Game Shark.
cheat code? Yeah, what the fuck's the point
No,
of playing the
no,
game
no,
if you don't learn from it,
No,
doing it yourself?
It's not the Game Shark. It's what and Brian will understand that it's called the level specialist.
Wow.
What happened is that way back in the day, you had a friend who was a level specialist.
Yeah, you can do certain kinds of
So,
levels.
like for example, you would be like, "Hey, Brian, I'm having trouble with this level of Castlevania. Can you help me?" And he,
well, yeah,
clears
he
the
called
Grim
me and
Reaper.
I'd come over and fix it. I
You know,
just
he'd
beat
come
the
o-
level. I'm like,
yeah,
"There
he'd
you
come
go."
over and beat the Grim Reaper, and then then I can play the game. Like the red cap in Super Mario 64. You were the only person that I knew that could get like that special stage where to fly around and get the eight
Yeah.
red rings. You were the only one that. So I had to bring over my copy and go, "Hey, Brian, can you do this?"
They call him the Fixer.
Didn't you have level specialists when you were a kid? You're like,
No.
"Oh, I can't beat this
No.
boss
Go
in
over
Blaster
that.
I
Master."
gave up on games I couldn't beat. That was my kid-friendly strategy.
Oh.
No, I didn't know enough people with video game systems. So if I didn't beat it, it didn't get beat.
Well,
I was like
just
the
went
level
back to the
specialist.
return bin.
I was like the level specialist for like level 3 for Legend of Zelda on the NES for a while. And it's like, "Oh, I can't beat this level. What's going on?"
I was the first person I knew that beat the first and second quest of Legend of Zelda.
You must have been like the big kid.
No.
Oh. You were like the coolest kid. Yeah, the coolest kid in school.
No.
No, it didn't work that way.
Video games still weren't that popular
So-
back in school.
I did trade a couple of Transformers for a Sega Master System though.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That was a good trade.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
And where's the Sega Master System now?
Yeah, where's your mighty SMS?
I think it broke.
Aw.
Oh.
Did you have the gun with it? and everything?
Transformers
Yeah.
are probably broken now too.
I didn't have the 3D glasses though.
Did you have a copy of Zillion?
Nobody I knew had the 3D glasses. They weren't really that useful.
There's a hidden game on the Sega Master System
Yeah,
too.
if
Like
you turn it on and don't have a cartridge in, and you hold on a certain number of buttons, you get the snail game.
Yeah, I played a lot of that snail game.
Yeah. It was an okay game.
So, any opinion on the demo play, or you just?
I think our kids are just getting weaned down to nothing.
Well, it is on
we're
the
making
Wii.
it so easy. Yeah.
I don't think this is for the kids. The kids would probably keep playing.
Yeah,
This is
the
for the
man has a
yeah.
point.
This is for the 45-year-old, guy, with 2 children and wants to relive his days of glory for
Yeah.
Super Mario Brothers, and he plays like,
Yeah, he's
no
a 45-year-old gamer in a wife beater with some beer in his Barco lounger.
he looks like Max Payne from Max Payne 3.
like damn kids.
Yep.
Oh man.
Sure, yeah, let's go.
I used to be able to make tons of lives out of that turtle shell trick on the stairway.
Oh
my
man,
damn
that turtle,
dexterity.
that frickin'
The turtle
stairway
tap.
turtle. Yeah.
Man, you just sit there and it was like it literally took a minute and you had 100 lives. There was no way you could lose the game.
No, there is. I think the maximum amount of lives you can get is 256, and if you go above that,
Oh,
it
you
actually
crash
goes to
code.
0.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
because it doesn't have a. Yeah.
Well, so then you just have to do it again.
Well, you can only do it on 3-1, and I think there's only one other level you can do that on.
So you're saying like you accidentally got a flower
Actually,
after you-
Yeah, you get
actually
another extra
another
man, and then it's
one-up
game
mushroom.
over, or something like that. I don't remember exactly how that worked. Yeah, it never.
Well, I mean, you
Th-
get 256, and it's only so large of a memory register, so you get one more
Yeah,
with
that's
one
that's
up
why
and
you
puts
can
it
only
around
have
zero.
255 rupees in the original Legend of Zelda because there was no.
Well, that's okay.
Yeah.
You could go on a frickin' hoe and blow, tirade with Legend of Zelda with 256 rupees.
So, I bet there's still a bunch of overflow errors in games now. It's just
Probably.
now you can't hit the 32-bit
Yeah.
limits to round
Yeah,
up.
you don't
who
hit,
knows
like,
what the actual limits are anymore?
16 billion or something. Well, I
Do-
don't have
do-
16
do-
billion dollars in this
Do they
game,
fix
so-
those buffer overflow things when they port them for like WiiWare or something like that?
No, probably not.
It's
Well,
part of the
there was a thing
emulation,
on
right?
whatchamacallit? There was a thing revealed. What was that? Atari had to have some of their third-party porters redo a bunch of their stuff because they found they were or Nintendo had licensed a bunch of ports to Atari, and they had in turn subcontracted the porting to some place in Poland, and those guys ended up using some GPL stuff, some GPL Scrum stuff in order to port the things. And so Atari didn't know this, and Atari really didn't care. They're like going, well, okay, we'll just release the code. But there's actually a licensing thing from Nintendo that you can't use any GPL code in your porting. So they had to redo a whole bunch of it.
That's awesome. All right, so our last news bit. Well, actually, not our last news bit. We've got some added stuff that I.
It's our last on the list.
Okay.
It's metaphorical.
Roll with it.
Australia
really a
But
bypassed.
no, this isn't the last one. You totally missed the China one.
Well, I'm getting to that. That's number 8.
Oh, well then it's not your last one.
Okay. So Australia bypasses Germany as the worst place to be a gamer, which
Poor Aussies.
Australia's been really awful in the censorship thing for a long time now, so
yeah, now
sucks not having a Bill of Rights.
Once in a great while, they get something before everybody else does, and that's like that once in a blue
But they
moon
still get it
unfortunately.
censored.
and they still get it
Oh,
after.
yeah.
Because it's something that
And don't they still get it after Europe?
No, I saw
not
one
come
time
over.
where they got something even before we did.
it's just that one time.
Yeah, that was that one time, and I was like, "Whoa, yay!"
Is
way
it
to go,
possible
Aussies."
for some place to get something after Europe?
Yeah, it's probably like
I mean,
When-
I thought
when-
they usually
when-
got the UK version.
when they're shipping games to Antarctica, possibly.
No,
no, it's like some island Pacific nation or something.
Bolivia.
Well, I'm sure China gets it later too because they have to like put skin on zombies and things like that. So
Well, I understand there's like this really retarded bit too that for the way the ratings work, all of the like governor generals have to agree to change the rating systems, and the one in the most rural of the 4 like things they have there,
their provinces
or
maybe.
something.
Prefectures.
yeah,
Prefectures.
absolutely refuses to do anything about it. So all the other parts of Australia are just fucked.
That's great.
That's awesome.
Way to go, progress.
Yeah.
What do you want from a prison colony?
Well, there's that.
More
There's,
hookers and blow.
well, there's an inordinate number of really hot people that come
What's
out
their
of
rating system?
Australia.
That is true.
Of course, there's really deadly spiders too. So you get one of the.
Don't they have like 6 or 7 of the world's deadliest snakes too?
They got all sorts of deadly shit down in Australia. It's like, what the hell's wrong with Australia? Why is it so hard to be alive?
The Kiwis are like, yeah, fuck Australia. We don't want anything to do
When
with it."
North Korea is a safer place in Australia, then there's a problem.
Yeah, at least in in North Korea, if you see people coming towards you, then you know you're fucked. But everything else is okay.
In North Korea, they had to work to make it a hellhole.
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
All right, so next up, speaking about foreign countries, China puts a ban on selling virtual currency for real currency.
Yeah. It's like, how does I shoot myself in the foot?
Yeah, how did that one happen?
They're
mean,
they're
is-
trying
They're trying
to
to stop gold farming.
no, they're trying to clamp down on what they consider to be some sort of gambling thing because
Oh, okay.
What?
This is all like moral degeneracy stuff.
Yes, moral
then. That's why
degeneracy
this
stuff.
comes out with the
It-
porn ban.
actually, yeah. Well, the World of Warcraft like gold farming stuff is actually a side effect. What they're really trying to do is clamp down on online gambling, which uses this virtual currency as well. And so instead of doing like the U.S. is where like, well, we don't outlaw online gambling, but banks can't make transfers to gambling websites. Instead, what they did was because the predominant way of doing online gambling in East Asia and Southeast Asia is online was with this virtual currency exchange. They basically outlawed virtual currency exchange, which catches all the gold farmers in it too. which is awesome because it's only like $800 million a year that they get taxed on. So how does I reduce my revenues to the government?
Although
basically?
wasn't there a whole big thing about that too, that like they weren't paying their taxes and China was trying to crack down on that too?
Well,
I
I'm
would be
sure they want people to
surprised.
pay taxes rather than not paying at all. I mean,
Or maybe the getting them to pay taxes part didn't work so well.
yeah. Well, I think that falls under the throwing the baby out of the bathwater because somebody had to have been paying taxes, and the government's still there.
But now they'll have a bunch of morally upright citizens who never watch porn.
And
It'll
never
be
pay their
awesome.
taxes.
Yeah. Another side effect.
Oh, that's excellent. So do we have any other?
That's okay. Half they're laying off 12 million people at a time anyway in China, so nobody's got a job anyway.
Well, that's just one factory.
Oh. Then they're lying about their GDP, so that doesn't help.
Yeah. That bubble's gonna burst soon too. I was reading about that.
So do we have any other news?
Man,
Man, I haven't been on Kotaku or any other site in a couple of days.
There was some other bits, but we talked about it before the podcast started, so it's boring now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
We're
we gotta
done.
move on.
Sorry, listeners.
there's that thing.
You should have been listening before we started recording.
Obviously.
I took a quick look at that game that Tycho's been raving about, that Ion game.
Yeah.
It's like an MMO and you can fly. It's a fancy RPG where you can fly.
Oh,
I'm assuming that he has a beta invite because it's not live.
I think
So-
it's all been downhill for me since Progress Quest.
Really?
Yeah.
Hmm.
That just captured the MMO experience for me so effectively.
I'm getting into Fallout 3 again finally.
On
The
your
new
stuff?
content's
Never had
pretty
time
cool.
to start it, so.
oh, did you pick up Point Lookout?
Yes.
How is it?
Well, it's creepier.
Well,
It adds something new to the game and new achievements, so.
As I've heard it put, it's the survival horror section of Fallout 3, and I think that's actually a pretty effective way to describe it.
Do you start out with all your weapons?
Yes,
Well,
because it's still a role-playing game.
Oh, okay.
Some of the downloads for World at War are pretty sweet too. That
And
new level
besides,
they gave for that with the zombies is pretty fun.
The pit started off with taking all your shit, so they couldn't do that again for Point Lookout.
that's kind of lame.
Well, they did that for they didn't really do it for Operation Anchorage. You just were in virtual reality and didn't have any of your shit to begin with.
Yeah, I think it's just because now with Broken Steel, they can actually expect people to go into Point Lookout and be able to continue leveling and have some challenge and things going on there.
Unless you've already
And then
leveled
what's
yourself up to,
the
like 30
fifth
and-
expansion called?
Well,
It's
I mean-
like Mothership Zeta or something like that.
I haven't heard about the fifth one. So I don't know.
It's like you're being taken aboard one of the spaceships.
There is a
There's-
crashed UFO in the game. So
Yes.
Huh.
So
I got Saints Row 2.
really,
Yeah.
and
It's $40 now, so it's actually reasonable.
but do you like it?
It really is, as Pasty said, it really is the game that that GTA 4 should have been. It's much funner than GTA 4. You can drive the goddamn vehicles, and they don't feel like tugboats.
So it's not like
and-
driving a brick.
And in one of the first levels, you get to spray houses with shit.
So that's why that kept coming up in all the reviews, because it happens right at the beginning.
Well, I mean, it's not. It doesn't necessarily happen right at the beginning. After you do the first mission or whatever, you get to the thing. It's the activity that's closest to the house that you start in.
Okay.
So if
Very
you're looking
likely
for an
to be.
activity, you're likely to go to that one.
And what type of character did you create?
That kind of looks like me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
you're gonna be
total
staring at
badass
your-
with a mohawk then.
Yeah.
And sunglasses.
Yeah.
You're gonna be staring at your ass all the time while playing this game.
Well, see, part of the problem with I've decided with that entire thing is that if you're staring at your character's ass all the time, you're probably going to die. Because there's a lot of other things going on the screen that you really should be looking at.
All right.
Thus the HUD.
It does. I like the humor is very good. There's one where you rip off a casino called Saint 7 instead of Ocean's 11.
Okay.
Get it?
I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty fun.
We get it.
And one of the guys goes and gets this whole elaborate plan, and he's like, "All right, so we got one of the I can't remember her name, but she's one of the women in the gang. Got the code for such and such from this blackjack dealer she's fucking, and if we hit over this power thing, and the power will be out for 45 seconds." And they're like, "Okay, but what if we just went in the front door and shot everybody in between us and the money? Does that work?" And they're like, "Yeah, that sounds like better." He's like, "What?" He had like these little dolls set up on a little thing and everything.
That's excellent. All right, so I guess that's it for the news. We have a topic about our damn opinion on the iPhone as a gaming platform, but I think only Steve is the only person that has a iPhone, right?
Well,
Yeah, that doesn't mean we can't have opinions, goddammit.
Well,
And what is your opinion?
Uninformed.
Oh, well then, that is an opinion, I guess.
Settles that one.
Maybe this is something we should come back to when we've actually played around with a couple of games on the iPhone.
I
That would
actually
probably help.
I've played a couple phones on an iPod Touch, which is very similar to the iPhone without the phone part. And it kind of is a pain in the ass in some games. Like I was playing the port of Galaga, and kind of bites. Because you gotta like move your guy back and forth like this with your finger.
Why are all these games coming out on the iPhone if it's a pain in the ass to operate?
I don't think all of them are. I think
There's a
some of
ton
them.
of shit coming out on the iPhone.
No,
because
like,
there's
no,
an,
the games are-
because they're easy to sell. People are actually buying them.
Yeah, it's true.
And I mean, look at how many cell phone games they've sold. Those were all universally shit.
Yeah.
And they still sold
My
millions.
friend
of
picked
them.
up Assassin's Creed on there, and he says, "Man, it looks so much better than it does on the NDS."
Oh man.
That wasn't hard.
Yeah.
Well, the and the port of the Galaga is good. It's very accurate. But in order to move your guy, you have to move your finger back and forth, and you can't see the ship.
Yeah.
And so you're like, and then one of the control schemes is, I swear to God, you move it around and you tap the screen to fire. So you can't move it and fire at the same time.
Oh, jeez.
It's like, did you test this at all? Did anybody who's ever played a game before play this game
Well,
before
it's
you
not a
released
gaming
it?
application, but it's being made into one because
it's
you
just-
can touch to do it. It's like a portable DS.
I think it makes
a
it
phone.
makes
Yeah,
arcade
I
games
don't know.
really hard.
I mean, DS notwithstanding, at least they give you a stylus there instead
Yeah.
of putting your big fat finger in the middle
Yeah.
of everything.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you should get your stylus from your DS when you're playing on your iPhone, and then you
Can't
can see
use
your
a
shit.
stylus on the iPhone
yeah.
Oh,
because it's a capacitive screen, so it requires
Yeah,
a
you-
finger.
the touch. Yeah.
And I think the worst problem gaming on an iPhone though is that so you've got your phone, which is an important device in your life. You use this to keep in touch with people. It's important that it works.
Every minute of the freaking day.
And now we've got these iPhone 3Gs, which you're lucky to get through a day on a charge. I mean,
Well,
that's how long the battery lasts
The GS will last you about 2 days, day and a half.
if you're not playing games on it.
Actually, if you're not using Wi-Fi, the GS battery is actually much better than the G battery.
But I mean, for gaming, people are saying they can get 3 or 4 hours worth of gaming out of it,
Oh, well.
and then the battery's dead. And you don't want to do that because if your phone turns into a brick, you're kind of fucked on the rest of the phone stuff that you need.
Well,
out of
that's
it.
why that's where
I guess you
the
buy a second charger.
Yeah,
Keep
that's
it
where
on you at all times.
that's where the accessory market comes in. You
Yeah.
can buy the external battery pack container that has like 3 times longer of a battery thing, so you can go all day playing.
that's not
Or
forget
in
those
the
little
same
recharge
form
packs.
factor, you
You
can
could-
manage to fit a DS in one pocket and your iPhone in another.
But why would you want to do that? Apple doesn't make those.
Right.
Yeah, but I can control things on my DS. You can't do that on your iPhone.
It is
The DS has got a
the-
web application.
well the iPhone is terribly useful for many things, but I'm not convinced that gaming is one of them.
Not yet, anyways. Maybe in the next couple of.
Well, I don't know
what is
how
the-
you would do it with something
what
that's a touch screen
It
is
needs
required.
some sort of buttons on the outside. It
Oh,
needs
Well, it
some
does.
well,
I mean,
Apple's
some
not
of them
gonna do
have.
that.
They have a volume button on some of them. You can move up and down. Because
That's
you
not
hold it
gonna
like
work.
this
You're
and
gonna
the
wear that
volume's
thing
right
out
there.
so fast using it. For
Well,
any
shit,
kind
they
of
want you to
game.
buy one every year anyway, so it doesn't matter.
So, I don't think Apple's going to make anything with buttons on it.
No.
God forbid.
No.
It seems unlikely. I think if anything, we're going to have them find a way to get rid of the one button that remains.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the first mouse they put
Oh no,
out.
there's
Only one
3
click
buttons
and-
and a switch.
A switch.
It has 4 buttons and a switch.
Well,
so
that's
they got a long way to go to get rid of all their
There's
buttons.
3 buttons and a switch too many.
Yeah. Yep. 4. They got the top button and the volume, and you got a little thing that turns the mute on and off, and the one in the middle.
That was like that, was it that Onion video that they had where they announced the new Apple? It was just one big wheel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I don't.
The new Apple one button keyboard.
Yeah. I
That
could
was
see
pretty
I could see Steve Jobs wanting to make that. Now that he has his new, was it his eye liver?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can only.
He can't. Well, he can't upgrade it. He's gonna have to get a new one after 5 years.
Although it is a 4G liver. So,
How does that work?
well,
His doctors can tell what's going on
it's
with it without him
future-proof.
having to come in.
He better not keep the Wi-Fi on it. It'll,
Suitable for
use
all
up all the
future
battery.
forms of liquor. That's
Yeah.
pretty awesome.
yeah.
So, do we have anything else?
I actually, I was gonna say, I turned on my, I hooked up my DS through the USB connector at home again, and downloaded my 3,000 points by logging on, and actually downloaded the Mario vs. Donkey Kong Minis March again. And I was surprised to find out just how much fun it is. It's basically a puzzle game where Mario sends out these little robots, and you have
Yeah.
to figure out ways to turn things on and close things and get to the end of each level.
I'm still kind of
It's a
wary
lot of
about
fun.
downloading stuff on the DS, though. I mean, well, I would need to buy a DSi anyway. But
Well, you
I
can
don't know.
download these for the DS also, I think. I don't think any of these are DSi specific.
I think the DS. I think it's just DSi only, because you need those DSi points. You have to have the special points because they have Wii points and DSi points, and they're completely separate. So they're not like
Oh, okay.
Nintendo points that would have worked for anything Nintendo makes. No, they have to make separate DS points and they have to make separate Wii points.
Well,
Like,
otherwise you get confused.
oh well.
Yeah, 'cause-
Why would we want to use points? Aren't points points?
yeah.
That's something
Can't we be
Sony
universal?
would do. I expect that from Sony.
Oh, although that is the awesomest thing that Microsoft's doing with the 360 dashboard, is it's all going to be dollars.
Yeah, it's converted
Yeah.
now.
They're getting rid of Microsoft points.
Thank God.
About time.
That's so stupid. I have to wonder how much you're gonna spend.
Though I gotta
how much
wonder-
you need.
I gotta wonder what sort of market research they did on that. Because if they're points, then they're not really money, and people are more likely to spend them.
I would have thought so.
But
Apparently, it's
You
not
know.
working out for them.
apparently, they're
That
maybe the psychology of the days of credit cards not being real money has gone away or something. I don't know.
That doesn't make any sense to
I think
me.
they were just capitalizing on the confusion. It's like, oh, you have to buy 2,000 or
Well,
1,600 points for
yeah.
$25. You just have to spend this because
Yeah, I mean that's why it confuses me that they would go to actual money, because then you're like,
It's
well,
less confusing now,
I
yeah.
don't know if I want to spend $5 on that, but if it's
But yeah,
X
well-
number of points, you're like, I can always get more points.
yeah,
Yeah,
the points is such a virtual concept.
Yeah.
it
Yeah, but
doesn't equate real money in
but
your
Steve,
mind.
you're more
Yep.
likely to pay for something if it's 80 points than you are to pay something that's $1.
That's what I mean. So why
Maybe
are
or
they going
maybe
to
not.
actual money as
Huh?
opposed to keeping the points?
Maybe not. I mean, if they're going to actual money, maybe that didn't work out to be true.
Maybe they just
Well, it doesn't work for Sony though, because if you try and buy something on the PlayStation 3, they use dollars and cents, and it's just like,
Yeah, but they charge stupid prices. They
Well-
literally don't charge even amounts
and-
of dollars and
and they
whatnot,
charge-
you have like 3
yeah,
cents
they
left
charge
over
like
or
$7.99, so you always have a balance.
Yeah, you
so you
always
have
have
like
a
a balance
penny.
of like 5 cents. It's like, what am I gonna do with this?
It's like
Well,
a really bad PayPal.
you lever that over a couple million people, and that's real money all of a sudden.
Yeah, that's like $1,000.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking maybe Microsoft
Total.
can just get some real traction out of this because they're just going to make it simpler. It's like, here,
How
we
much-
have given you one step to buy things. You press the buy button, then you're done.
Maybe.
How much simpler? I mean, it's.
Maybe they just hired some people
I
from
don't-
Sony's marketing department. and
I've
they
never
convinced them it
had
was a good
any
idea.
problems buying anything off them. It was very easy.
Well, because right
It's
now,
simple
if you don't have
subtraction.
enough points, you have to look around the screen, find the little thing hiding down at the bottom for the add Microsoft points. Go through a couple of steps, come back over to the thing you were going to buy, and then actually buy it. That's plenty of time for you to change your mind and not buy something.
It was still fairly simple, even when you had to go charge a credit card or account or whatever
It's
to
still
do
way
it.
more steps than buy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
So they're just trying to.
I mean, I guess it works for iTunes.
Yeah.
Frickin' the App Store is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen, because like you go through and you're like, oh, that's useful. Oh, that's useful. Oh, that's useful.
Well, and there's all the online statistics for the number of screens you can put in your checkout process and what percentage of your buyers you lose based
Per-
on how
per
many
screen.
per screen there
Yeah,
is.
how many steps you have to go through.
That's weird.
So basically, one screen is pretty much where you want it.
If you can manage it, yeah. That's why Amazon has
That's the
one-click ordering.
one-click ordering. That's why they
If all your info's
sued
in there and
people for
everything's
being,
done,
for the
boom.
patent.
But that's why that exists and why people want it.
I want it. I want it now. I want it tomorrow. Thank you. Done.
See, the casinos, if they could, they would let you hook up your slot machine to your credit account and just keep hitting the button.
Oh yeah. Plus, it would save all the fees if they got to pay through this.
Yeah,
and that. You
they
would
could
be
do it.
charged for your
They could do
ATM
ba-
fees, and they get more of your money.
Well, they could save on the transaction charges in there, and just by doing a batch, they'd batch it all up how much you've
Not
spent.
only that, they go totally paperless, so
Yeah.
they cut out all the paper too.
Right. I mean, that would be the optimal way. I gotta hook up my Amex to the slot machine and
They
just
have
keep
to-
going
it's
until
gotta-
I win.
I really do appreciate how simple it's
Will
gotten
it-
for the
will
most
it-
part there, because they've gone coinless. It's all just paper money or paper receipt that has your money value
That
on
seems
it, and you
kinda
put it right
disappointing
back
to
into
me.
the slot machine. It keeps the flow of money going faster.
Yeah, but you know what? There's something about putting
Actually
quarters
having to
into
put
a-
the thing in. I mean, isn't
No,
that
I
the
fucking
enjoyment
hated that. I
that
was
you
like,
get out of the
ching,
machine?
ching, oh crap, I dropped a quarter. Oh crap, I didn't get that. Oh shoot, I gotta get a third one.
Yeah,
in.
see, I never had that
no,
problem.
it
There's-
slows everything down. You
I
get more
think
money
the-
faster if you can get the money into it faster.
Well, but there's an enjoyment of the experience. Of
Well,
the
that's why they still left
aesthetics of
they
it.
still have the arm, the little pull arm on the side of most of the slot machines, because people still like that nostalgia. But most people will tell you it's more easy just to be able to use the money or the paper receipt, and it's so much faster than having to turn your light on, wait for somebody to get their self around to you to give you change or to give you a roll of quarters for your change.
but
it
like,
slows everything down that way.
if you're on the nickel slots, I mean, isn't it great like winning $120 in nickels and just carrying it around? Like when
No,
when else
that's
do you get to
fucking
do
heavy.
that? When else do you get to do that? You know, I mean, how often are you gonna have $120 in nickels and you're like, yeah, I just won $120 in nickels?
I want the pachinko experience. If I'm going to be like gambling random money, I want to have a bunch of shit happen.
Yeah.
For that.
You
That's
want
a
to
little different, I think.
well,
you
the
want to
whole
trade in a bunch of
experience,
metal
my
balls
opinion.
for cigarettes.
I mean, you
is
could
basically
play
what you want.
I mean, you could play blackjack just using a video dealer and doing everything, but that's no fun. You know, you want the whole experience.
Well, blackjack, you have to have the chips. That is part of
you
the
don't.
game.
But you don't
You
have. I
do.
mean, you don't have to have
Well,
a
if
real.
you go to the actual casino, you do. That's
Well,
part
but
of the
they-
actual physical experience.
Well, right, but so is using the slot machine. What I'm saying is you could replace all the blackjack dealers with just machines that play blackjack.
Or just have a big
know what I
LCD.
mean?
No,
just
I
have an
think
LCD table.
The
Just have an
dealers- the
LCD
dealers
table
are
that's
kinda like
touchscreen.
the dealers are basically the arm on the slot machine. They are that part that needs to be.
We're,
there
we're
to
saying
integrate
putting
the flow.
coins in is also
Also
the
the arm on the slot machine.
I
Putting
disagree.
putting coins in a dealer though, that's not fun.
Well, they typically frown on that.
It may be nostalgic, but on
I
the
guess it
side of
depends on how
getting
you're
money in
inserting
and out of
it.
the casino, it's
Eh.
irrational because
If
it
I want-
slows everything down. You
Now,
want
see-
money to come in quickly, and you want people to spend.
My-
If they have to stop to get change or do this or do that, that's less money coming in
See,
during
my-
your day. So
My
Well,
my
but-
question
efficient for the
my question is this: I mean, if you have like a bunch of gambling losses, can you have your credit card in there? Will it print out a receipt that shows all your gambling losses so you can put it in your income
the
tax?
question is, can you do chargebacks?
Yeah.
If you got an
That's-
Amex and you're like,
that's-
no,
that's-
somebody took out like 40,
Yeah.
I'd be willing.
$200 at this casino.
I
want
bet
my
the
money back.
casino would contest.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
As I
See-
believe there is an arbitration procedure whereby they go,
Yeah, but
no,
Amex
you
is
spent that.
pretty loose about their
Well,
procedure.
Amex, unless you really abuse it, Amex will pretty much let you charge back anything.
yeah.
Well, they don't even really do the chargeback; they just write it off, because it's their cost to do business with the type of people that they want to do business with.
Huh.
So
To have your money free flow and just it just makes more sense to pay that off. It's kind of like Walmart with the yeah, here's a $20 item you buy and a year later it breaks and they just like, yeah, in a year we'll just give you a new one. 'Cause
You know,
in
the
the end it's just cheaper to give you another piece of junk made in
I
China.
gotta wonder how much research they did on the blackjack thing and on the slot machine not using thing, because it seems to defy the whole Skinner box experience that's in a casino. It's like it's not habit forming to just have a little thing, and that's the whole point of slot machines in terms of habit forming, is that you do a certain action and they give you just enough reward for you to keep doing it.
Well, look at it this way. What percentage of the people going into the gambling institution are older or younger, and how many of those old people can go around carrying a bucket full of change? Because half of them have an oxygen tank or a cane or something else.
But that's
Well,
why they
that's
have
why they-
staff
simplifying
people.
the procedure.
But
for
that's why
them.
that's why they have staff people.
That's why they have those motorized
Scooters, the
yeah,
rascals?
little scooters. Yeah.
That's what they have staff. I mean, really, it is. It's
And the
kind of weird
buttons to hit
because
to stop the wheels too, though, right?
They
The
can-
what?
Don't they have like the three buttons that you hit for like the three wheels? To
It
stop
depends
each
on the
one
game.
or something. Some of the machines.
It
they all have
depends.
some sort of thing that gives you the illusion of control of the game.
No. A lot of slot machines, you do have control. You can make an instant stop by hitting the button a
Well-
second time after it's taken off, and the screen will actually come to a stop where you hit that button. So you have the
Well,
control of what you see.
It is. Well,
but
it
most
is.
people
But you're
don't think that far ahead, and they visually can't process stuff that's moving and predict it. So it's easier just to let it finish its own rolls.
Yeah, but with all your video game experience, how come you didn't get like all threes all the time?
Because it doesn't matter when you hit the button.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it really. I mean, it
it's
really
not
is.
as easy to predict that kind of stuff because
Well-
there's so many items on the wheels, and it's some of
They
it's
are
digital
legally
now, too.
required that it doesn't matter when you hit the button.
yeah.
It doesn't
I mean,
affect your chances. of
I mean,
winning.
yeah. What it
There's
is,
been
it's
maybe
no.
like 2 or 3 times I've been up there where I've hit the button and stopped it and pulled out like $100 off of one of those.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
that's
it's-
so rare.
the-
The odds of getting the things you need to stop where you need them to stop, and being able to predict that is almost impossible.
Cherry, lemon. Oh
it's,
shit!
it's part of the Skinnerian box and psychology thing where it's giving you the illusion that you have some control over what you're going to win, when you really don't. It's just straight odds.
It's
the
not
only
a
thing
skill game for the most
all
part.
you're controlling
at
is
all.
how many chances you have of rolling the dice. So you have the ones that have like they got 12 little things you can put around the edges or whatever. So you always win these different rolls. All you're doing is I'm rolling the dice. I have the straight odds here, the straight odds here, the straight odds here. You're just rolling 12 at a time instead of playing 12 games.
The only
sequentially.
control you have over the game is how much you spend on each roll, and you take your
Yeah.
10 or 12 lines times however many multipliers 1, 2,
Yeah.
3, 4, 5, 10, whatever you have. So the only control you have is how much of your money you give them at any one time.
Isn't craps like one of the games in a casino that you have almost even odds against the house?
Craps and blackjack are the only ones that the house doesn't have a significant advantage
Yeah, you can actually win with skill.
Well,
over time.
over
if
time.
you play perfectly.
Yeah.
Which
Skill
nobody
in
does.
craps. I
Yeah,
don't know
but
if there's
that's
a lot of
also
skill
why
in
You
craps.
want to get on a table where
I
you
don't
can
think
bet more.
craps you can win without cheating. Over
No,
time.
you can't.
No, you can. I've watched people
you
do
can, but it's gonna but you can win over time because the pattern goes up and down, so you'll go up and down
Yeah,
depending on
but
the
I
as the
mean,
game
like
over.
the odds for winning are not over 50%.
No, you're still down. Well, every game you're down against the house unless you play perfectly.
Yeah.
Even blackjack, which
But you have
statistically
better
you
odds
can win,
with that
but you have to
game
play
than almost
perfectly.
any
and
other
you have to play
This
a
is
million
turning
hands.
into a really good video game podcast. We're
It's
talking
video
about-
games. There's lots of
Didn't
video
I
games in
mention
casino.
earlier that this was the worst podcast
It is
ever?
not encouraging.
You're an enabler.
He's an enabler.
Well, now we need to get this one way down to the bottom so
Way
that
down
it
to the bottom.
stays.
Hey,
as
you
the
haven't
worst
asked me
ever.
about Star Trek Online.
Well, I don't want to go down that road.
You could rein the
Oh,
podcast back in.
Speaking of, they have a Star Trek slot machine that's freaking awesome.
Well, I
You
can
actually
imagine.
do stuff and achieve things and take medals, and it prints out a ticket you take with you. And the next time you come back, you put the ticket in. It remembers who you are,
Yeah.
sets the game to where your settings were, and then you continue on. So it
It's like that
gives you
horse
d-
racing
d-
game.
it's motivation to come
does
back
this-
and play the same slot
Does
machine.
that Star Trek machine have like a Kobayashi Maru thing
Yeah,
on it?
no, it does have the trouble with triples.
Well, it is by definition a no-win scenario. So.
It's actually pretty
We
cool,
need
though.
Kirk to reprogram the slot machine so we can win it.
I
See,
did
now
get-
that's a fascinating study, is how to actually the things that they do to prevent you from cheating at slot machines. It's pretty interesting.
I did score $20 today because I got 5 Captain Kirks.
That's what she said.
Man, what would it have been if you would have gotten a good character?
Same $20. The slot machines don't. They don't go up or down.
What would happen if you get 5 Rikers or something? How would that work?
Well,
no, this is the classic Star Trek.
By
With or without beard?
by definition, a Riker is one half a Kirk. So you would
It's
have
half the winnings that you would have gotten if you got 5 Kirks.
because it takes 1 Riker plus 1 Picard to make 1 Kirk. So
And then
You
you
would
got to
have-
bake to a medium simmer, and you got to roll it over and let it bake another 30 minutes.
although without the beard, it might be less because he was really bad without
Bake
the
to a
beard.
medium simmer, yeah.
See, that's how powerful the beard is, Murdock.
So if there was a Dos Equis slot machine
Yeah.
with the guy in the beard, and you got like 3 of him or 4 of him, what would you
It
win?
would take more of your money.
He wins without even having to try.
Yeah.
He's just that good.
He wins by default.
Yeah.
I may not play slots, but when I do,
I win every time. Even if you win, I win.
He wins at slots while playing blackjack.
See, I told you this isn't the worst podcast ever.
You're wrong.
Oh,
So you don't want to know about Star Trek Online?
okay. Well, give me. Okay, so once again, it's Steve's Star Trek Online news. Do we have Star Trek Online music for this?
It's another copyright
Okay,
violation. We are more royalties.
Great.
Put another one up on the board.
Oh man, let me put the nickel on the table here.
I think it's 8.5 cents.
Here, I'll a dime.
I kid you not.
Is it really?
Yeah,
think I got some change
it's
left
set.
over
It's
for
set
casino.
legislatively.
I've got an RTD token. Will that help?
It's set by statute, so it's a really weird.
All
number.
right. So what do we got?
My cash.
Nothing. Got nothing.
All right. So
You know
where's
what-
the,
you know-
Cover us for the next 10 podcasts.
So there's one for
there's
the.
the ASCAP fees right
There's the
there.
ask. No, you have to put at least 20 cents up there because we have to pay for the intro too. There you go.
Where's our 0.5?
Well, now we've paid for next week too. We're paying ahead.
I'm gonna sing it again.
You know what we got from Star Trek Online? More screenshots that I swear to God they posted already.
I'm telling you, it's the same screen. It's
It
the
is.
Same
It's like
screenshots.
if you ask me what
it's just
screenshots are
photoshopped
gonna
differently.
Yeah,
It's
you had
Nukem in space.
Sorlax sends me, hey, check it out, more screenshots. I'm like, okay, I bet you there's one of an asteroid belt. There's one of somebody on a planet.
And one of a ship.
And one of a ship. Yeah, I bet you there's that, and then just like the random third one that's like a plant or something.
I'm still waiting for this to come out and be an Eve mod.
Yeah. Well, Eve. Hey, Eve. Speaking of Eve, CCP is going to blow out one more expansion for Eve, and then they're switching primary development efforts to, drum roll please, the White Wolf MMO.
Oh,
Wait,
interesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they're actually going to put Eve on the back burner then. It's just
Apparently.
going to go into maintenance.
Apparently.
So how much does a ship cost in White Wolf? How much is a freighter?
Which is kind of weird.
Is that going
'cause
to be a fuzzy spreadsheet?
Eve's the only real, like, other than WoW, which I think is kind of plateaued at this point, but Eve's the only MMO that over the course of its history has steadily gone up in population.
Yeah.
So it's really weird that they would not make it continue to be their primary development effort.
Especially since they just got done with doing the graphical upgrade for it.
They
Yeah.
must feel that they've
that's
hit
not
pretty
that
much
old.
everything they can do for it, and they just there's
Well, they could
not
do it. I
much
mean, they
more.
keep talking about the whole outside the spaceship experience mod thing where you can get all your pod and stuff, but
Oh.
they haven't done that yet, so I don't know what's going on.
I mean, if they actually switch primary development off of it, that makes me think that there'll be another team somewhere working on Eve 2 then.
Well, maybe.
Maybe they're
Well, what are you
getting
gonna
big
do with
enough they
Eve
can't
2?
Split.
Well, I mean, the thing is that I've come
Walk
to the
around on planets.
yeah. Well, it's gonna be it's
Well-
gonna be Earth and Beyond.
Well, Eve will be Eve is Excel. Eve 2 will just be access.
Yeah, it's gonna be
Eve with
Oracle.
or Excel with macros, maybe.
Yeah.
That would be a nice bonus feature.
It'll be Silverlight.
I've kind of come to the conclusion that while Eve was kind of an interesting, fun game to play for a while, and some people are really obsessed with it, I really think it's like a giant multi-year tech demo. Because they've done a lot of really interesting things technologically with Eve. It's just the gameplay was never really awesome unless you really liked doing, spreadsheets.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they figured out how to do a real economy with real sinks for money. So you didn't have rampant inflation. You had some, but it wasn't like, a lot of other places where there's not enough money coming out of the economy. They let you pay for your subscription with inline money or online money.
Yeah.
With in-game, currency that you had. They were the only large scale of the game that had every shard. Everybody played on one shard. It's pretty cool. It's the only one that had PvE that actually mattered. So or PvP that actually mattered.
So
Didn't have much PvE, which really was
so
a
other than
downfall
Star
of that
Trek
game.
Online, are there any other MMORPGs?
Well, what you call it, Jumpgate Evolution got delayed till September,
Yeah.
but supposedly they're in closed beta instead of just friends and family beta. So they made progress. They're just delaying it because they don't want to suck. So,
APB seems to be getting another hype spike.
oh yeah, I haven't seen anything about that.
Because there's a bunch of it at E3.
Oh, well, stopped paying attention to E3, so that probably is why I missed it.
So
Yeah, I mean, other than that, there's that Ion game that really doesn't seem like it's all that cool, but who knows, because nobody's played it except for people that got invited to the closed beta, so. Probably still under NDA.
So is that it for the podcast?
Yep, put a bullet in it. It's done.
Pull the arm on the one-armed bandit and
So
wish your money goodbye.
so our next podcast will go over winning craps and the mathematical formulae that you need to.
odds are by then I'll actually be able to tell you because we should have Crapster in about 3 days.
You want to waste a night? Read up on crap strategies.
Oh man,
The amount of stuff and the people that swear to God they can throw the dice correctly when they want to is amazing.
That's hilarious. I've watched my cousin's husband win at the game, so I know it's not impossible.
Well, I mean, you can win at
does
the
pretty
game,
well
but
at
there's
it.
these guys that say they can throw it exactly the way they want to all the time. You're like,
Yeah, whatever.
okay, thanks, data.
Yeah, I could throw loaded dice too.
Yeah. Yeah. Commander, these are not properly weighed to get the. It's like, oh, okay.
all right.
You're gonna be trapped in a episode of Casino Royale after you leave this, or what did they call that? It was the Royale. They just called it
I guess.
in the TNG episode. That was kind of like a takeoff of Casino Royale, except
Yeah.
the whatever was in it.
Was that the Royale with
Hotel
cheese?
Royale is what they called it instead of Casino Royale.
Is that
Fiction, totally
Yeah.
different video game. That one.
Yeah.
Was there a video game based on that?
no?
Pulp Fiction.
No.
Really? Kind of
So
surprised.
was that a Riker with a beard episode, or
that was a
without
Riker with a beard episode.
Oh, okay.
It would be a game where you
Is
just
there
didn't know what
act-
the fuck was going on.
is there
any
actually-
time?
Is
What
there
happened
actually,
to All Out Order?
Is there actually a list online? I'm sure there is a list online that says, okay, well, here's all the episodes with Riker with a beard and without a beard.
Well, it's like mid-second season, and then he has a beard for the rest of it until he shaves it in the third movie, and then he gets it back at the end or something.
This is an interesting concept, beating a game at the beginning of the game and then having going through all the
Or
middle
go
points
backwards.
or beginning points of the rest of the game.
I don't know how
Completing
you do that.
sections that all complete backwards.
Huh.
Like play through the game in reverse.
Yeah.
Or play the game in a random
Not
order.
totally reverse. but you
Well,
just
it's like
play
that
the
one
sections instead
Seinfeld
of
episode
1-1
where the
and
sections were
1-2.
backwards instead.
Well, when they come out with Memento, the video game,
Yeah.
we'll give it a
Well,
shot.
half the
Well,
game will be
they-
in black and white.
They did a Seinfeld episode like that where each of the commercial breaks happened. The next one happened before the last one, and so it would say 1 hour before last or 1 hour ago, and then it would be like 12 hours ago, and then yesterday, and it kept going. And the very last one was 12 years ago when the characters first met each other.
I think video games have just discovered the flashback, so they've
Yeah.
got a ways to go before they get up to such
But
advanced
besides
narrative
the
styles.
game actually called Flashback.
Yeah.
Nobody discovered that. Unfortunately, that's why it doesn't exist anymore. It was very short-lived.
Wasn't that a sequel to Out of This World?
I think it was
by the same
related.
studio.
But it wasn't.
I don't think it was
was.
related.
It might be in the same world. It's kind of
Just
hard
not
to
really
say.
connected officially.
Well, then, because then they did. I don't. It wasn't. It was known as Out of This World 2 in some places, but it was.
They had a different sub-name for it here.
There was. It was something about darkness. It was
Heart of
another-
Darkness.
No,
that has a lion in it.
that's much
No.
older.
It's also a Nine Inch Nails remix.
But there was another third game that they did that was actually like early 3D and was kind of in the same world thing. It kind of like
No,
tied them
in the heart of
together
it
a little
all.
bit.
Never
That it was a little
mind.
sci-fi, but it still had some of the alien designs from the first one.
Huh.
It's like they had leftovers from the first game, and they're just trying to put some out there and keep the experience
All
as,
right.
as
Yeah,
it was.
it's like what they're doing with Super Mario Galaxy 2. So I guess that's it for the podcast. Listeners, note the next episode will be Show 71.
Well,
Well, that's something to look forward to.
Yeah.
that's
We won't have sausages as the graphic.
that's really unexpected that number 71 would come in after number 70.
Yeah.
What are you moving up to?
Well, from here on
Brats?
out, we'll just start doing all the podcasts in reverse order. We'll do podcasts from the future, and we'll go ahead and work our way back.
Yeah. So when we're playing our ass crystals games, I'm saying that's the future.
Well,
Ass
if you're gonna
crystals.
sit on them, you might as well do something with them.
Yeah. Just don't get the games with Rumble. That's all I say.
Keeps you regular.
Yeah.
I don't know. The ladies might like them.
I think they already do.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for listening to Die Hard Gamer Radio. It's not the worst episode ever.
You know that one we originally tried to get Keegan on? That was pretty bad.
Thank you for listening to Diehard Gamer Radio. You can visit our website at diehardgamerradio.com and iTunes, or you can email us at diehardgamerradio@gmail.com.